This is my garden, one of my gardens. I have to keep it circled with an electric fence to keep the deer from eating it up. But it got really hot and dry about 2 months or so, and I didn't weed it well enough. You can see the weeds are all in it. But I've got tons of butternut squash ready to harvest, collard greens. I've been taking off peppers and tomatoes. And that over there that looks tall, that's popcorn. And it's ready to come out. It's drying off, and it's a red variety. I don't plant anything that's GMO'd or hybridized where it only works once. I try to get everything to be open pollinated heirlooms. I still have problems with rabbits with this electric fence, and mostly voles. They get in and they eat things during the night and can cause quite a bit of trouble. I've had to plant my eggplants twice due to voles. Owls are the ones that eat the voles, and most animals don't really like them too much around where I live. But owls have a way of regurgitating into L pellets the bones and fur from the vole that irritates other animals. You can see that trellis over there, that's butternut squash. Doesn't do well on a trellis. I won't try that again. I'm going to turn this solar fence off. Hear it clicking? It's on. I use a double-stranded wire like that, and the deer hit it one time, and all the local deer tell each other, hey, stay away from that, and they're terrified of that wire. Nothing gets in here and eats all this. I have a nice population of very tame deer. Okay, fence is off. And there's the popcorn row. And everything I do is organic. I don't ever use salty, granulated, chemical processed fertilizers because I think that the salt builds up and destroys and desiccates things. I'm also very much against using my mulch and my brush and burning it all. I'm down to, burning thousands of pounds of brush into a couple of ounces of charcoal and then putting it in my garden, because what I've had is desiccant properties from it, like the Sahara. The charcoal dries out the soil when the plants need the moisture the most, and that is really not good. I would much rather put the mulch in the ground whole, like it is. The thousands of pounds of debris, brush, leaves, stuff like that, are far more capable of collecting the soil nutrients and water and holding them than a couple of ounces of desiccant charcoal, which is only good for drying out my soil in the dry season. And it's just worthless. Plus, I noticed that the charcoal floats away when I get flooding, which I do get. It floats right up out of the soil, carrying off whatever it did pull in. Charcoal is good for pulling in things. They give it to people when they're poisoned. But the problem is it floats away with all of your nutrients. And it does float. Charcoal's buoyant. So I'm totally against it. I think it's biochar. There's a deer. You heard that? Did you hear the blowing sound? Well, it sounds like a sneeze. Anyway, so that's what they do. They burn the rainforest. And now they started saying that, the rainforest isn't harmed by burning. It's terra preta. You need to burn. But the natives that lived in the rainforest, apparently they say natives haven't even been in this American continent except maybe 6 to 10 to maybe 15,000 years max, possibly longer. But the rainforest itself, it was not built by terra preta, because it's got to be millions, or at least 6,000 years as the Bible says. I don't even want to mention that. I'm not going into that, but it's got to be very, very, very old, much older than the natives that came here from Siberia, because it has animals evolved just strictly to it. And that couldn't have happened since the arrival of a handful of natives that live in the Amazon. And nobody lived in the Amazon, because you can't. It's called the Amazon Basin because it's made for nomadic peoples who use blowguns, have to cannibalize in the ancient times, went from place to place because the whole place floods. Every year it floods. The Amazon becomes 30 feet underwater, and everything has to adapt to living in the treetops because the ground is soaked in water. The fish have to learn to eat fruits that fall from the trees. Monkeys have to stay in the trees. Everything has to leave and go somewhere else. You can't build an empire down there. That's why there's no pyramids in the Amazon basin, and there's no structures. Meanwhile, they say, oh, we're down there burning it off so we can see if we can find structures for archaeological digs, but they're not going to be able to find any real ones. Just, oh, we think this might be one, but they're not, because you can't live in a floodplain. I live in an area that floods once a year, but it only floods a few inches deep. Think about if I lived in the Amazon basin, in the jungles, where it floods 30 feet deep, and a flowing river with piranhas and anacondas and all that stuff. No, it's not going to happen. So biochar is not a good idea. I don't believe in terra preta. I don't believe in biochar. Don't waste your good humus. Put it on your soil. I have good soil. This is really, really good soil. See that? It's great. Good soil. You know how it holds together right after rain. It's not soggy or anything. Anyway, my butternuts are already ready. This land is really good for growing butternuts. They're already ready. I need to pick that. Oh, it fell right off, showing that it is ready. See, this whole trellis was a bad idea. That's what I came in here for, to tell you. Because I was told that you can grow the things close together, and, you know, with you use a trellis. I built this with my bamboo. Here's the problem. Wherever butternut grows, it wants to send a root down with every node. And that gives it nutrition and moisture and assurance against vine borers, because it has more nutrients. Where a vine borer might have hindered the vine, it can still get nutrients from another node. But when it's up here like this, it can't sink its roots down. And it does have tendrils. It did cling, and it didn't want to climb. It wanted to crawl across the ground instead. And see, I have it next to sweet potatoes. All these are sweet potatoes. These are Louisiana sweet potatoes, which are also way over there amongst the weeds, which we have some hunters dump some 2 female feral hogs, and now they've bred, and so my dog has to chase them off. They root up the ground, so I got to go over there and help chase the hogs off. And I'm done with this. I'll keep this video on so you can see the hogs. But what they do is in the springtime, they release 2 hogs that are female pregnant. And then that's because hunting season ends. Then if they want to, all during the summer, they can still have something to shoot because it's legal to shoot feral hogs. And then when winter comes, they have a lot to shoot because they breed really good. Okay, he's not barking at a feral hog today. Yesterday he got in a fight with some. But what do you got? It's just a squirrel in the pecan trees. The pecan trees aren't even bearing yet. You can see they're still really young. There's some nuts. There's a big old cypress. What you got up there? What is it? You see what you got? I think you got a squirrel. What a boy. He really likes to chase things. Everything can get away from him, though. Good boy. I just wish he would keep the squirrels out when the nuts are harvesting, because the squirrels sure take a lot of nuts. Well, that's all we got here.